Once upon a time in a kingdom not so far away, Hansel and Gretel set off into the woods to gather some food. But this was no ordinary foraging trip. Oh no, this was survival of the fittest, barefoot bandit style. You see, Hansel had recently read an article on the internet that said crumbs cause cavities. And although there wasn't any scientific evidence to support this claim, Hansel was pretty sure that if they left a trail of crumbs leading back home, their house would be robbed. So instead of bread, Hansel packed kale chips. Not wanting to waste food, but also not wanting to eat things that tasted like cardboard, Gretel followed along, all the while vowing revenge on leafy greens. When they arrived home, Gretel stormed off to her room, leaving Hansel to dump his bag of kale chips on the table. He pulled out his phone and started watching videos about the health benefits of kale until Gretel burst through the door, furious. "Why did you bring that disgusting stuff here? You know I'm allergic to kale." "I didn't want our house to get robbed," Hansel explained. "The internet said crumbs cause cavities, so I thought we should leave a trail of crumbs, but with kale chips instead of bread." "Well, good luck with that," Gretel scoffed. "The only thing those crumbs are going to attract are ants." As if on cue, an ant crawled across the table, leaving a tiny crumb in its wake. Then another ant followed, then another, until soon there was a line of ants marching across the floor. Startled by the sudden appearance of these highly motivated insects, Hansel and Gretel ran out of the house and into the woods. They were so busy scanning the ground for crumbs that they didn't notice the gingerbread house with the chimney that looked just like a cupcake, the gumdrop buttons, the licorice fence, or the chocolate river until they tripped over it. "Oh my God," Hansel breathed, staring at the edible architecture before him. "We have to tell Mother and Father there's a gingerbread house in the woods?" But Gretel wasn't listening. She was already knee-deep in the chocolate river, pulling herself closer to the candy cottage. "Oh yeah," she said with a mouthful of chocolate. "This is going to be so delicious." Suddenly, the front door swung open and a wicked witch emerged. "Who's there?" she screamed. Hi," Gretel replied. "We were just heading home from our walk when we saw your lovely gingerbread house, and we couldn't resist taking a peek." "A peek?" the witch repeated. "All you filthy animals just want a peek. Well, how about I give you a piece of my mind?" She lunged for the children, but they dodged her grasp and ran into the forest. Panting and terrified, Hansel and Gretel sat on a nearby log. "I'm pretty sure that was the gingerbread witch," Gretel said. "And I'm pretty sure she wants to eat us. Maybe we could make a deal with her?" Hansel suggested, "like we could give her some of our kale chips in exchange for some of her gingerbread cookies." Gretel threw a handful of kale chips at his head. "You are the worst brother ever. You know I hate kale, and you know she hates it when people bring her food. If we're gonna make a deal with her, it's gonna have to be better than that." Gretel took a deep breath and thought for a moment. "Listen, if we can get that witch to stop trying to eat us, I think I can teach her how to cook without using any kale. In exchange, you can man the pastry window and take orders. What do you say?" Hansel thought this was a great idea. He loved pastries, and he really liked watching cooking shows. Plus, the alternative was getting eaten by a witch. "Deal," he said, extending his hand. Gretel shook it. "Now let's go make some pastries." When they returned to the gingerbread house, the witch was sitting in a rocking chair sipping tea. "Did I do something wrong? Because I feel like I'm in some kind of horror movie and I haven't died yet," Gretel said. "It's too early to die," the witch replied with a smile. "But why don't you two come in, sit down, and have some tea?" So Gretel and Hansel sat down on the couch next to the witch, except instead of drinking tea, Gretel got right to work laying out her plan for the future of the gingerbread house. She told the witch that if she wanted to keep the business running, she needed to update the menu, cut out the cryptic love notes written in mustard, and start focusing on creating new pastries. In return, Gretel asked for 3 things. First, she wanted the witch to pay her and Hansel a fair wage for our services. Second, she wanted to make sure the staff was treated fairly. And third, she wanted more licorice. "Trust me, with a few tweaks to your menu, you'll be making twice as much money in half the time," she promised. "I'll start right away." And just like that, Hansel and Gretel saved the gingerbread witch from herself. Gretel even found a use for all that kale. She turned it into kale chips and sold them alongside the pastries. Business was booming, but that's a story for another time.